Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first podcast of the Talkument YouTube channel. Today, I'm joined by my very good friend Skeet.
How's it going?
So let's just get right into it. You were talking earlier about your experience trying to watch the movie Undertone, which we were going to talk about, but you were unable to.
I was unable to see that film. Um, so for context, I work at a movie theater, and we have this awesome thing we do on Wednesdays. We get to watch movies and stuff before anyone else does because they come out on Thursday. Um, and so we go in. We're like, yo, we want to watch Undertone, and there's this one dude, Caleb. He's like, no, we got to watch Goat. He's like, let's watch Goat. It'll be funny. Like we'll have a fun time. We're like, but we want to watch like a good movie. We want to watch something we want to see. And so we kind of go back and forth on that. And he's like, all right, we could try it. We could try Undertone. And he goes up, tries to do it in theater 11. It's not working. He goes, it's not working. He's like, you guys are fighting fate. It doesn't want us to watch Undertone. And I'm like, no, we're not fighting fate. We're fighting you. And he's like, well, if you want to try it, you're welcome to. So me and this other dude, Ethan, are at the computer. We're trying to get it to load, trying to find the show times. It's just not there. It's not loaded, like, at all. And, he keeps getting into it. He's like, yeah, you guys keep fighting fate. And then he's like, listen, I guess I'll call the company if you really want me to. And we're like, we do. And he calls the company. They're trying to work through it. And he's like, yeah, see, you guys were fighting fate. It punished you. That drive is fried now. So we had to watch Goat.
And how was Goat? I'll be honest, I didn't have any desire to watch it.
It was okay. Um, it's one of those things. They did the Spider Verse animation thing where it's like a few like the character. You know how they like slow down the frames on the characters moving for like more detail.
Mhm.
It does that, but it does it to an extent where it actually looks really choppy in motion. The individual characters are very vibrant and colorful.
Mhm.
But like when they're in motion, it's like it's really jittery. Like it's like that. Like it's really jittery. Um,
That's strange. That sounds like it
it's
would be kind of distracting almost.
yeah. It also like the plot was a little hollow. I think there definitely is something there if you like basketball.
Mhm.
I like basketball. I would have liked to see more basketball in the film. Actually, like you see individual plays and stuff, but you never see like any uninterrupted basketball that I remember. Like you're familiar with basketball. When you score, it changes possessions, and then the other team runs it down the other end of the court.
I've heard of a little bit of
You don't
basketball.
you don't see that in the movie. A play will happen, and
Mhm.
instead of like watching them inbound the ball and seeing the next play, it'll be like it'll go from the first to the third quarter, and it's like,
Okay.
okay, I just missed a lot of basketball. That might be just a me thing as a basketball fan. It did pretty well. Everyone I talked to said they liked it.
Okay, so if you're like a
Um,
casual sports fan, you like it because I know you're into sports probably more than the average
yeah,
person.
yeah, and even then, I think even if you're like you really like sports, there'll be some stuff there for you. They reference like the animals like have their jersey numbers that
Mm.
that represent actual real life players, and they actually did a pretty decent job in making those animals reflective of the player they're supposed to be.
Okay. Were you upset at all that you couldn't watch Undertone and that the what was fried?
It was so we have like this big drive we plug in to
Mm.
the server, and that has the movie on it. It has all the movies that are supposed to be playing in that theater.
So the drive was fried?
Yeah, I'm not sure how. Um,
Okay.
Fried is a term I'm using. Like it's just
Yeah.
broken. Like it doesn't work. I'm not
Mm.
sure what happened.
That's
The
weird. Yeah, it almost seems like
Caleb didn't know. Like the tech people didn't know. They were like, I'm not sure. He wound up replacing it. Like he had to get a whole new one.
oh, okay. I'll be
Um,
honest, man, you really didn't miss much from Undertone. And this is coming
yeah.
from somebody who was very excited for it, and I kind of bought into the hype. There was a lot of hype surrounding this movie, and it just didn't
Well,
deliver.
I was afraid of it being a poor man's monolith.
I was just gonna say that, and that's
Is that what
exactly what it
happened?
was. Yeah, it was
Okay.
similar. It had a similarly sized budget. I think it even had a slightly larger budget than Monolith, with which Monolith was made for next to nothing, and it looked much better. The story was much more engaging. It was much
Yeah.
more eerie and frightening. I almost felt as though the director just kind of wanted to break out, and he tried something he could do with a low budget and watched Monolith and just kind of copied that model. And he really didn't do anything with it. I found the dialogue to be kind of cheesy. There wasn't really any big scares, but for a slow burn, I mean, the atmosphere and the tension just wasn't there at all. Um, I was very bored with Undertone, and I didn't want to be. I went into it with an open mind, and I really wanted to like it, but I,
Yeah,
I just didn't. I recommend anybody who uh, didn't like Undertone see Monolith. It's an Australian film from
yeah.
just a few years ago, 2022 or
It was
2023, I think.
excellent. It was excellent. It was really
Yeah,
good.
it was great.
Um, Obviously, I can't speak on the differences between those two films, but this typically happens when you get like an American remake of a foreign film. Like it rarely is ever as good. Like
Mm,
Quarantine, and then obviously the original Wreck.
right.
Quarantine's not nearly
Yeah.
as good as Wreck.
No.
You know, I always get them mixed up. I forget if The Grudge is the American one or the Ring is, but the American version is not as good as the
Two
Japanese version
two
of it.
different series,
Yeah.
but they were both remade
Hmm.
with American remakes.
Yes.
Um, yeah, you see that happen a lot. You get these kind of watered down versions. A lot of the time with happier endings to satisfy an American audience. I don't know why these producers think that Americans won't be able to handle a dire ending or
Because they
something.
think we're idiots.
Wow, that's true. Um, most of the world, at least it feels like that a lot of the time. Being an American,
Yeah.
the world kind of uh, thinks you're not the brightest, right?
Our reputation as a culture isn't the best.
No, it isn't. It isn't.
You know, I try to combat it. I try to be cool. And open to other experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like especially when you're traveling, I can only speak for myself, but I feel like you're kind of the same way where you kind of try to put on an extra good mask
Yeah, I
almost, you
try
know?
to I try to like read up on the culture of where I'm going just to make sure I got the do's and don'ts, like how to
Right.
interact with people there. What is considered normal there, because it's
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, you really have to be on your P's and Q's because
because
like you're representing
yeah,
America.
exactly. And like so many of these, what it is, and I think a big reason why we have this reputation is so many influencers go over to these other countries and just act like jerks. Just they have no regard for the locals. They constantly break laws. They harass locals. And then they're surprised when like that they're held accountable in those countries because the laws are different. Like for example, like that Johnny Somali guy in oh no, it was Korea. He messed around in Japan, left, went to Korea. I forget exactly what he did, but he did a series of crimes that he's gonna face some serious like jail time for. I think one of them is a minimum of like 10 years
Wow.
because they take harassing people very seriously. I said North
I didn't
Korea.
know
I
that.
meant South Korea.
Yeah, of course.
I meant South Korea. He was in South Korea. Um, but yeah, the South Koreans really don't, as and this is my limited understanding of the situation. Really don't mess with that kind of stuff. It seems like they're making an example out of this guy.
Well, I oh, sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, and I think they should. Like he clearly has shown no remorse for his actions. Getting drunk like the night before his court date and stuff like that, and showing up
Wow.
late. And like causing a ruckus, and catching charges in the courtroom. You know,
Wow. Yeah. And
like
he an American?
he is an American,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah. I know. It's really unfortunate that even with a lot of these streamers that you see, which the idea of streaming your entire life to me is the creepiest thing ever. I
Yes.
mean, I never did I think there would become a profession where people would pay to watch somebody's life and have a whole camera crew follow them around 24/7. I don't understand that, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it's more of an American phenomenon. I see mostly Americans doing it, but I don't know if that's because my feed is mostly
Yeah.
algorithmically American. Um,
I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen in other places because it's a social media issue. What it is people are developing these parasocial relationships. So like they see these streamers as almost like a friend, you know,
yeah.
but like in a kind of unhealthy way for a lot of people.
Right, and it seems like we're drifting further and further into that.
I
Um,
agree.
but I really can't. begrudge any non-American for having a certain stereotype of us if their main exposure, at least right now, is of these streamers who are just acting like fools
Yeah,
out
no,
in
I
public.
agree. Guys like Ice Poseidon, I don't know if he still does stuff, but he was like one of the first real big IRL guys. Same thing with Johnny Somali. Just like he's just a jerk, you know. He causes disturbances, you know. That's what he
Yeah.
does.
Well, the thing that really concerns me, and I don't know if you've thought about this at all, is like it's almost like our social contract has changed a bit, where as a society we've agreed that certain things are now okay that weren't before. Certain behaviors are now okay, right? A little earlier we were talking about these meta glasses. And how common it is now that we've been getting recommended these videos of people wearing meta glasses and recording people without their consent and messing with them and sometimes being very mean just to get a rise out of people, ultimately in order to make money or to get clout or fame on the internet. So it's like people are in this feedback loop of being incentivized to make money based off of harassing people and invading their privacy. We're willingly invading each other's privacy. And it feels like we've all agreed as a society that that's okay. You
Yeah,
know, you would
and
get ostracized for doing something like that even just a few years ago.
no, you really would have. Like people would have confronted you and been like, "What are you doing?" You know. But
Yeah.
now it's just normal. Like you see a lot of people the trend of like walking up to fast food employees and just giving them a hard time. Like that trend like was it a couple of years ago with the Chipotle thing where they were like, "Oh yeah, if you just harass them, they'll put more." And here's the thing: a lot of
Wow.
people don't understand. You're allowed to have as much as you want of anything other than meat.
Mm.
There might be another stipulation in there, but I think it's just meat. Like I think you can get as much rice and stuff and veggies as you want.
How many scoops are we talking here?
I don't think there's a limit with that. I think the limit's really, I think you only have to pay extra for like meat, like steak and chicken and beef and stuff like that.
So you're telling me I could go in there and I could just keep getting scoop after scoop after
I
scoop?
I think they might cut you off after a certain point, but you
I,
you
I mean,
in theory,
I want to try it, but I don't want to be one of those people that does
that's
that.
where
You
I'm
know?
at. Like I want to test the limits, but I also don't want to be
Yeah,
a jerk.
yeah. Just kind of ride the line. Well, I remember it was one of the first times I ever went into Chipotle, and I was just kind of nervous because I didn't really know the menu that well, and I didn't know what I wanted. Um, And so I nervously just told the guy because he's like, "Hey, what do you want?" You know, he was really friendly and everything. But I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. This is my first time here. I just don't know what I want because I didn't want to seem like an idiot that I didn't know what I wanted at
No, I
Chipotle.
get
They have
you.
like three things, you know.
Yeah, yeah, but
But
like
I told him, and he was like, What? It's your first time?" He stopped all of the workers in that Chipotle in order to tell him that it was my first time. And he's like, "You know what? This burrito's free, and here's a buy one get one free." I
that's
was like,
awesome.
I
That's
was like, I
awesome.
was like, okay, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
And
That's really cool.
I've had that a couple times too. Like it happened in Starbucks with me as well, because I don't really go in Starbucks either. And I was also nervous, and I just wanted to make up an excuse for why I didn't know what I wanted to order, because they kind of stare at you sometimes, which I
Yes.
get. They're just trying to do their job and be attentive.
Hmm.
But I kind of got in my head, and I was like, I'm sorry, like I don't know how it works here. I don't know what I want. This is my first time, and she gave me like a free coffee and everything. Um, so I don't know. Give it a shot and see if it works.
Yeah. Um, that's the thing, though, as somebody who works customer service. Most customer service employees actually are cool like that if you're reasonable.
Mm,
If you're showing up, you're not being rude, you know? Because here's the thing, it doesn't cost us anything to do extra stuff.
no,
Like,
no.
like, we're often encouraged to by our companies. Like, it's called giving good customer service. If somebody's having a bad day, you'll offer them some extra stuff. Um, But you are less likely to get that if you're a really rude person and you're yelling at people and you're trying to bully them into getting what you want. That'll work some of the time because people just want you to push you through. But most of the time, people are just kind of like, yeah, screw this guy. Like whatever.
Well, that rude, like, give me what I want behavior Working in customer service, have you mostly just observed it with, older people, or have you seen it with the Zoomer and millennial generation
I've
too?
seen it with this. I've seen it with all of them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the thing with old people are 50-50. Old people are either going to be like some of the nicest interactions you have that day or some of the worst.
Mm,
It's 50-50 with old people. Some of them are incredible. And then
yeah.
the other half, you're just like, man, I wonder what happened in your life to make you like this. I'm sorry. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I feel bad for them because I'm like, man, like just living in such an angry, irritable state has to feel terrible.
That's just
You
the
know?
weight of the world on your shoulders after a while, I guess. You don't know what they've been through.
Yeah, exactly. So I try not to judge, but at the same time, I'm like, I didn't do that to you. You
Yeah.
know?
No, right. I mean, it's not right for them in the same sense too. Um,
I try to think about situations where I was like that, because I've been like that before. I think everybody has a patch in their life where they're not great,
mm.
you know? Um, honestly, probably several patches.
So you kind
You're,
of oh, go on.
I was just going to say you're constantly changing as a human being.
So you
Um,
reflect it back on yourself.
yeah, and like, I remembered the people who were patient with me.
Mm.
Even though I was being a jerk and I was being unreasonable and I wasn't interacting with people in a polite manner.
No, I hear you.
And
I
I
hear you.
didn't even realize I was doing it because in my head it was all justified because I was the one getting screwed over. It was me against everybody else.
And what do you think was the source of change for you?
Oh, just the people talking to me and just being like, hey brother, like, I don't like what you're doing
Mm.
you know like, I remember one of them was actually an interaction with you where, like, I was complaining about, like, people who walk slowly. I was like, these people walk so slow. Like, why do they? And he's like, you were like, it's almost like you look for reasons to be angry. And I initially went to say something back because I was like, that's not true. And then I was like, yeah, it is. It definitely is. It's exactly what I just did.
Mm.
And that was kind of one of the first moments where somebody had reached out and been like, hey man, you're acting like a jerk. Like, you're
Well,
trying to be upset.
Skeet, thank you.
Of course.
I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you to to say that something that I said made an impact on you and a
No,
change in your life. Because I only said that because that was coming from someone who used to do that themselves. I was that guy. I did that all the time. And it's a horrible way to live. And I'm glad that I stopped doing it. And because I cared about you and still do, I didn't want you to do the same thing.
and that's the thing. You weren't rude about the way to handle someone like that. Isn't matching their energy. It's by being calm,
Mm,
and just being like, hey, I just need to tell you that, like, I don't like these things that you're doing, and you list out the things like you did. Like, I don't think that's a good path for you.
well, I'll keep that in mind.
It won't always work. Some people aren't ready to hear it, but
Yeah.
getting in an argument about it almost never solves anything.
No.
It,
No.
it usually makes it dramatically worse.
Yeah, it just escalates the situation. Well, another thing that we were talking about before we started recording was the rise of AI. And I know it's kind of a trite topic, right? Because it's so ubiquitous. But I think we're both a little worried about it, especially coming from two people who are chronically online.
Yeah,
um, we can see just how prevalent it is. It is becoming in every aspect of our lives, and
no, it
it's
is.
scary, right? It's taking jobs,
Yeah,
high paying jobs, the people, software developers, and it's impersonating people.
yeah, which that is
For
scary. I was
it
talking
is.
about how what really I think it's moving too fast. We're not ready for it. The technology isn't there. I think it's good for, like, doing some menial tasks. Like, I hear from some of my friends who are into programming and things like that. That's actually very helpful for really tedious, like, strands of code and stuff. I don't really know how coding works. I'm not well versed in it,
Mm,
but from what I understand, it does help with that. and that's good. But like you have people like creating girlfriends on there, and instead of going out and actually getting a girlfriend or a boy or whatever, and talking to people, they're doing that instead, and it's becoming really harmful because AI, it's not a real person. It's not going to push back on you. It's going to validate. It's going to tell you things that you want to hear. So like for example, there's been multiple cases where people themselves and their AI encouraged them.
That's terrible.
Like that guy who he had that Daenerys chat bot, and she
Yeah,
like convinced him because he wanted to himself. She was like, "Yeah, do it,"
yeah,
so you can be with me and stuff like that because that's what he wanted.
right.
It told him that because he said that's what he wanted.
That's terrible. And this phenomenon of people rejecting real relationships, is this something that you've observed in America? Because I know that in the past, even 10 years ago, I saw a documentary on it being prevalent in Japan. That you had a lot of young
Yeah.
men who were having these virtual girlfriends, and they were preferring that to a real relationship. Do you think we're almost mirroring Japan in a sort of
I
way?
think I think it's happening all over the world
Okay.
because AI is a global phenomenon. I'm not sure where it started. It might have started in Japan. I know it's an issue in Japan and has been for a while. I think, but I think it's happening everywhere. Like I don't think it's just one country. I think anybody with access to that stuff, people are. It's
It is
it's
very
ruining people.
it is very alarming. Yeah, it's ruining people in a lot of ways. Um, from what I've seen in my professional life, the thing that is most concerning to me is how it's affecting young adults. I mean, I'm observing, young adults preferring to scroll endlessly on their phone rather than sleep.
Yeah.
Um,
I've caught myself doing it sometimes where I just have to
really,
like chuck that across the bed
yeah.
and just be like, "No, we're done."
Mhm.
Like it's time to go to bed because like I'll just be watching it and I won't realize that I've been on it for like 15 minutes. You know,
Yeah, it feels pervasive in a way that it wasn't before.
I agree. And like here's the thing, like all the boomers and stuff in like 2011, 2012 were saying this stuff. They were saying, "Hey, the smartphones are bad. Social media is harmful." And we shrugged it off. Like, "Yeah, what do you know?" And you know what? They were right. We owe them an apology because they were correct.
I think
Everything they said was going to happen has been happening.
the last thing I expected to hear from you today was giving boomers some props. So
They got to get props for that. They do because they were right about that. They're not right about a lot of issues, but they were right about that one.
they were, yeah.
Um,
No, they. Oh, yeah, I'll give them that one too. They were.
like
Um,
they were absolutely right.
I mean, are you concerned though generally about? I mean, not just the future of North America, but the world in the next few years. I mean, it's a global phenomenon that we're facing rising prices of commodities.
Yes,
Housing is almost unattainable. It's more unattainable here in the United States, but I know in Australia, I mean, unless you're a multimillionaire, you can't even afford to own a home
I don't
for
think it's
most people.
great. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the housing crisis is even worse than here in like Canada, UK, Australia. Um, I wanted to know where do you think this is going for price for everything?
I think it's not going to a great spot. I mean, this is happening everywhere. Um, I think I think it's pretty bad here. I think some countries are doing a little better, but I think it is happening everywhere. I just think we're one of like the worst examples. I think we're one of the worst examples right now
Well, do you think?
because,
Go on, sorry.
or just because the way our economy is set up is so predatory. You know,
Can you
um,
elaborate in what way?
well, you have stuff like billionaires. Was it at 99% of our country's wealth, or is it 90? It's a lot. I know that. Um, and this whole thing of like we're very much like screw you, I got mine culture. You know, like we don't really help each other out. You know, it's you're expected to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, and you get told that by people who inherited $10 million when their dad died. You
That
know,
is true. Yeah.
and
Yeah, there isn't
most
much of a social safety net at
yeah
all.
no it feels like most of our people here in America now are poor. It feels like
Mm.
the middle class is pretty much gone. Um,
It is eroding rapidly, and I hate to say it, but um, it seems as though in the very near future, um, the small business owner will be a thing of the past, and it will only be
yeah.
these mega corporations,
Yeah,
right?
well, and that's the thing. The mega corporations over decades have targeted the mom and pop shops to run them out of business. That's Walmart's competitive pricing. They would, when they'd open up a store in a small town, they'd look at what, before they opened it, they'd look at like what the other stores were selling, what products were good for them, and they would offer those at a cheaper price because they're Walmart and they have the money to buy in enough bulk to get a discount to offer it at a cheaper price.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of like the movie The Founder. Did you see the movie
yeah,
The Founder with
I
Michael Keaton?
I did not. I've heard good things though.
Okay, I really recommend you check that one out. Yeah, very similar to The Founder. Um, yeah, I guess that's just kind of the American way, right? Um, but I mean, we've faced economic crises in the past, right? I know the '80s weren't particularly good,
No,
right?
the '70s were. I think the '80s were pretty decent economically. I think the '70s were where it got pretty bad for a decade. Because I remember my grandfather telling me about that big gas shortage that the government manufactured.
Right.
You know, like
Yes,
you had to ration gas. You had like a stamp card for your gas.
I know that's wild to think about. Hopefully, we don't have to face anything like that ever again. Um, I guess we face different issues because in the '80s, interest rates on houses. I think in '85 they got up to like 15% or something like that,
Dang.
which is insane. I mean, you just can't afford a house at that point.
That's also a point though where like America was doing really well. Like even like the
Well,
middle
Wall
class
Street
and like
was
lower middle class, like people had money. You know.
right. Well, I mean, uh, look at like The Simpsons, right? Wasn't
Yeah.
Homer Simpson depicted to be like lower middle class?
Yes, and he
And
had a two-car garage, a house. I think they had a pool.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
TV. Like his kids had a bunch of toys, and like they didn't seem to really want for that much. I mean, sometimes like there were, like the first episode is about Homer not getting his Christmas bonus and struggling to try to find money to get Christmas stuff. So they did touch on that a little bit, but like
Okay.
Homer's Homer's doing better than most Americans are right now, and he's depicted as like kind of on the brink.
Right. Right.
Like this is bare minimum that he's got right here. He's got
Yeah.
a two-car garage, like a four-bedroom house. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they have a pool. Um,
Yeah, I mean, the neighborhood that I grew up in was lower middle class to maybe middle class, and there was a lot of people who worked average jobs that didn't have a degree, they didn't go to college, and they were fine. Even people who made quite a few mistakes. You had the local person in your neighborhood where you kind of cringe when you'd see him driving down the street. You're like, oh, that guy again.
yeah,
And but even that person, that guy was okay. The
yeah.
wacky eccentric guy who
Like
didn't
he was still
didn't really
doing
have
all
it.
right.
Yeah, he was still doing okay, even though he worked maybe 2 or 3 months out of the year. He had a
Yeah,
house.
yeah, exactly. The guy who was just hustling to
Yeah,
live had a
yeah,
home. He had a
yeah,
home. Then
yeah.
again, you could argue that people like that getting homes is why the 2008 housing crisis happened because they were giving people who couldn't afford houses a house.
Yeah, that's true.
So that could be part of it. Maybe
Yeah,
that guy shouldn't have had a home.
yeah, maybe he shouldn't have.
Not that he should have been homeless, but that he shouldn't have been buying a home.
Yeah, all the kids would go
You know?
inside. I remember my mom would always call me to go in the house when he'd drive by. I don't know what that guy was doing, but wasn't anything good. But he had a house.
Yeah,
He might have caused the 2008 mortgage collapse.
but, but he had a home.
Yeah, maybe the market crashed because of that man, but he had a home,
Yeah,
and that's what,
exactly.
and that's what matters. We need to go back to those times.
Yeah, like
I
there's
want a home
the
that I can't afford.
Me too. I want to stress out about paying a mortgage. Um, but like at this rate, that's never gonna happen.
No,
Um,
but maybe that's okay.
yeah,
Maybe home ownership is just kind of a dream that was sold to us. Maybe it doesn't mean as much as they say.
yeah, that could be. Um,
Well, I wanted to touch on the brand new day Spider-Man trailer as well. I watched it yesterday. You just saw it as well. What are your initial thoughts? What do you think of it? Are you excited for this
I
new movie?
I am kind of excited. It's kind of going off from where he was in the last movie. I actually really liked the ending of the last movie because Spider-Man had to suffer the consequences of his actions. You know, it was his poor choice to try to bring the universes together, and he's suffering for that. You know, so like it seems like they're gonna have him try to get back with MJ. I sort of want him to just accept that he's in a worse, or not a worse place now, but that he had to make a sacrifice to make up for his actions. But they could still have him get together with her and still have that get across in the movie. So um, they might still do that. Um, it is just a trailer. Another thing I really like that Frank Castle's in it. I feel like a lot of people kind of sleep on the fact that like him and Daredevil and Spider Man like work a lot together, and are in a lot of crossover comics together. So it's nice seeing the Punisher and Spider Man in a movie together. It's great that it's Jonathan Bernthal. He's the best Punisher right now.
Yeah, he's always great.
Funny story about that guy. He almost got arrested before he could audition for the Punisher.
I didn't know that. No, why?
Yeah,
Why did?
so he was pacing around the building. He had a hoodie on. He was practicing his lines. He was getting into character. And the cops pull up, and they start arresting him. And like the the I forget the term, but the lady who was doing his audition pulled up right as they were putting him in the car, and he managed to get her attention. And they were like, she's like, "Oh no, he's an actor. Like he's supposed to do an audition. What's going on here?" And I guess the building was across from a school, and so they got a report that a creepy guy wearing a black hoodie was pacing in front of a school while talking to himself.
To be fair, if I saw John Bernthal talking to himself and pacing in front of a school, I might call
he's a
too.
he's a scary looking guy,
He
you
is a
know.
scary looking man. Yeah.
Um, so I don't blame him for being like, yo, like I don't really like that.
That's really funny. I never knew. Well, good thing he didn't get arrested and he got the
No,
role.
no, definitely, it's kind of one of those butterfly effect moments. Or if she'd just been a little later, he might not have gotten the part
Yeah.
because he would have missed it. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing that really stuck out to me about the trailer was the tone, and I don't know if that will be reflected in the actual movie, but I noticed that the tone was a little bit darker, which I didn't
Yes.
expect.
It had
Um,
it had kind of a somber tone. You know.
a little bit, yeah, and I like that because while I do like this, the Tom Holland installment, the I don't know, home series, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
Um, the the only grievance I had with it really was the comedy and the tone at
Yeah.
times. I don't think it really captured the essence of Spider-Man that much because it was just a little too lighthearted at times, and
Yeah.
they were almost afraid to ever really sit in a moment. No, go on.
I was gonna say they did a really good job of that in Spider-Man No Way Home.
I
I because
agree.
they it had a much darker tone than the other two films. And that's the thing with Spider-Man. Yes, he is jovial and he's very happy-go-lucky, but he's also a man living in a really dark world who struggles to manage his personal lives while still also being Spider-Man, and he feels this incredible guilt for not saving his uncle that he has to do this, you know. And it seems like they're getting some of that across in this movie, where it's like he has to, you know.
Yeah, and I
I guess.
really I really like that. I mean, that's what gravitated so many young people towards Spider-Man when he was, first conceived, right? Was in the 60s.
Yes.
I mean, up until now, he's universally beloved, right? However many decades later, it's he's a timeless
Yeah.
character for that reason.
Spider-Man is the kind of character that will always be relatable to any young person. You know, anybody who's ever felt like the world was against them or that they didn't have control over their life, you know? And like those are great moments that we get from him in the comics and in some of the movies too. And so I hope they continue to build upon that. Because like Spider-Man, like he's a very bright and happy character, but there's definitely a lot of darkness there. There's a lot of emotional issues that he hasn't properly dealt with.
Yeah, and I really like that they're not afraid to touch on that in
Yeah, no,
this installment in the series.
no, me too. Like it's very somber. Like he's really regretting his choices, and like he's had to mature quite a bit in a very short amount of time. Because
Yeah.
he's living on his own. He doesn't have anybody. He had to get a GED. I don't know if he. I don't think he had a job at the end of the last movie, or if he did, they didn't. I didn't catch it. Um,
Yeah.
I guess he would have had to. He has an apartment. I don't know what I'm thinking.
I don't know
I'm
how
being
he's
dumb.
how is he affording an apartment in New York City by himself? He doesn't have any roommates or anything.
He might have roommates. Like it did.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
didn't look like it looked like he was in a room. Like it didn't look like it might have been a studio.
Okay.
Um, but my answer to that would be the world of comic books is just more forgiving.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm
Um,
thinking I don't know if he has any proper form of identification. I would figure he wouldn't. You
no,
know.
he would though because people forgot who he didn't cease to exist. People just forgot about him.
Oh, that's true.
So like they wouldn't remember that they had him on file, but he would be on file.
Okay. Yeah. So he'd
And
kind
then
of have to
he
just jog their memory or something.
yeah, and then he didn't get to but then he didn't get to graduate. He had to get a GED. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe he's delivering pizzas under the table or something. You know.
That could be. That'd be a fun callback. Have him delivering pizzas again.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
speaking of, do you want to see Toby Maguire brought back, or do you think it would kind of taint the legacy?
I don't know if it would taint the legacy. I just worry about tonal issues with that. But I do think it could be good, especially because his Spider-Man was also in a very dark place.
Mm.
Um, in the third film. So you might relate to that. I actually think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man might have more to say to him. Because it sounds like he just people now. Like after Gwen Stacy died, he just like stopped being merciful. Like that's the vibe I got.
It would be more interesting to touch on his character because I feel like out of the three Spider-Man, we got the least amount of closure with
We
him.
did because we only got the two movies and like they weren't written super well. I feel bad because like, that movie did harm his career a little bit, but
It did, yeah.
but he was not the problem with the film. His acting is great. Andrew Garfield's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, he's great. I,
Him in
everything he's in is
Silence,
great.
like forget about it.
Yeah,
Um, but I think that could be. I think that would be a better character for him to bounce off of. I feel like they're probably going to bring in all three of them again, but I think the most interesting character dynamic would be between Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield.
yeah. I think it would be interesting
Um,
to hear how they would interact because he could serve as sort of a mentor, right?
yeah,
I hope that the rumors that I read aren't true because I heard there was leaks that the next in Avengers movie that Toby Maguire is within like the first 20 minutes of the movie. It's
that'd
like
be
why would they even do that? You know?
because it would be shocking. You wouldn't expect it,
Yeah, that's true.
And he's
That's
also such. He's the most beloved Spider-Man. The most beloved like live action Spider-Man. I think.
yeah,
So
without
it
a
would
doubt.
really be impactful. I actually don't hate that. It would be really because it would also set the tone that like nobody's safe. Like we just Spider Man, not just any Spider Man, people's favorite one.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, it would be very shocking.
because
That's
then
for
it's
sure.
like you him off, and then it opens up the whole movie. Then you don't know what's gonna happen as far as character death goes.
That's true. That's
because
true.
someone who you thought would be like a major player through the whole film just died.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's actually something they do a lot in maybe not a lot, but it is a technique they use in movies to get off the biggest actor or like the most favorited character early on in order to establish that like nobody is safe. Like they did the same thing in the movie Deep Blue, with Samuel L. Jackson. Did you ever see that one?
I didn't.
It's like this movie. It's one of those like bad shark movies that came out in the wake of Jaws,
Okay.
and basically like they're experimenting on these sharks, and they wind up making them hyper intelligent, and like the base they're in floods, and as stuff's going down, and like Samuel L. Jackson's trying to rally everybody to be like, all right, we got to deal with these sharks. All right, I survived an avalanche on Mount Everest. I'm not dying here. And then a shark jumps out of the pool and bites his head off.
Does he actually talk about surviving an avalanche on Mount
He
Everest?
he does, because he's trying to motivate them to be like, yeah, like we can get through this. And the shark just jumps out of the water and like bites his head off, and he's just dead. Like they just off like the biggest actor, and he was set up as kind of the main character too. It was a red herring, or like what they did with in Game of Thrones with Ned Stark. You know, where they establish this big actor as like the main character, and then they use Ned at the end of season 1 as a way to be like, yeah, look at all these great qualities Ned has. Look at how noble and honorable he is, and he's very diplomatic. And then they show you that those things will not get you very far in Game of Thrones. Um, you know, the age where those things were effective is over.
Mm.
You know, people will just screw you over and you if you're in their way. It doesn't matter how good of a person you are.
Well, I want to say that trope started back with Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, right?
I think that yeah, it might not have been the first, but it was one of the first popular examples.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the big famous one. Jamie Lee Curtis's mom in the shower,
Hmm.
you know. And it's like, yeah, you watch that movie, you think she's the main character, she's going to be the final girl, and then you realize this is a slasher film from the perspective of and that's when it gets interesting.
Right.
That's when it gets really interesting. That's when it really separates itself from other slasher films.
I remember just hearing about that movie as a kid, just having it described to me.
Yeah, I remember.
It gave me chills.
Yes, me too. I remember seeing it referenced in everything. Always pulling the curtain and seeing, sometimes it would be red paint or whatever because it'd be
Mhm.
a cartoon referencing it. Why cartoons referencing American Psycho? I don't know. I know The Simpsons referenced it once, or at least that scene once.
It was that one and The Shining that got me. I mean, those were the only two where you would just hear about them.
Yeah, my
And it was,
introduction to The Shining was the Treehouse of Horror episode of The
was it really?
Simpsons. It was about it, where groundskeeper Willie's like, "Yeah, you got the shinin," and he's like, "Don't you mean shine?" He's like, "Hush, laddie, you want to get sued?" That was my introduction to The Shining as a concept.
Did the Scottish accent kind of ruin the fear factor of The Shining for you?
I will say when I go back and watch it, I imagine what's his name, Dick Halloran, as groundskeeper Willie. Laddie, you want to get sued?
It kind of makes it better in a way.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. But yeah, that was my introduction to The Shining. It's interesting looking back at like the things I saw referenced as a kid and how it influenced my interests as an adult. Because like now I'm a big horror fan, and I grew up watching a lot of horror franchises get referenced or talked about, or sneaking a couple. My cousin would show me a lot of movies that he wasn't supposed to show me. I watched Riddick Pitch Black at 8, and it terrified me. Like, oh my goodness! Did you see that one?
Yeah, I did. I just thought it was really weird. I was like, what is going on?
I really like it.
I like it too. It was just weird.
It sets up a really interesting universe. And like Riddick, like you're watching the movie and you're like, okay, this guy's some kind. He's a cut above. He's some kind of superhuman. And he has those special eyes, and like they ask him, like, well, the kid's like, well, how do you get those? And he's like, when they tell you you'll never see the sun again. you know. And it's like, and you do end up getting more context throughout the other films. There's an animated anthology one that's pretty, might not be an anthology, but there's an animated Riddick film that I saw as a kid that was really good. Um, and then I want to say there's three Riddick films. I don't know if I saw the third one, but the first and the second one are really good.
With Mark Sinclair Vincent, right?
I believe so. Yes.
You know that man Mark Sinclair Vincent, of
But yeah,
course, the famous
Mark Sinclair Vincent. Yeah, I
no,
know him well, dude. I remember him from
Fast and the
Bikini.
Furious.
Yeah, dude, and Bikini Party Summer.
Oh, okay. Wait, what is? Did you just make that up?
Yes, I don't actually know who that is.
Well, you, that's that's that man Vin Diesel. That's his
Oh,
real name.
oh, that's his real name.
Mark
He
Sinclair Vincent, of course.
it was smart to go with Vin Diesel.
I would.
Mark Sinclair Vincent isn't bad, but I feel like Vin Diesel fits the image he's created a lot better.
Yeah, it does.
Because like it just sounds like the name of an action hero, whereas Michael Sinclair Vincent does sound like an actor's name. It does. It actually sounds really
Mark
very.
Sinclair Vincent.
Oh, Mark Sinclair Vincent. Yeah, it sounds very prestigious.
It does.
Either way, either Michael or Mark. It's a good name.
Yeah.
I just think Vin Diesel fits him better.
Yeah, he made a good choice.
Kind of like how Dwayne Johnson's just. I mean, Dwayne Johnson's a good name, but Dwayne Johnson's always going to be The Rock to me. I grew up watching WWE as a kid.
I don't understand why he faked having fast food for the first time like
Like eight.
three different.
I think it was more though. Like I think he did it like quite a few. Let me try to look this up real quick. I think he like did it like more than that. Like I think he did it kind of a lot, like every few years or so.
He seems like a nice guy, but he's such a husk of a human being
Yeah,
that
like
he's
there's
almost
not.
kind of uncanny. Like there's nothing
He's
going. Like what is he? He's not a
he
person anymore.
he
He's a
seems
brand.
he seems very inauthentic. You know, um,
I
and
don't
and
know.
that bleeds through. Like I said, he does seem nice enough. Like people aren't talking about how he's a big jerk or anything that I've heard.
No, no. I mean,
Um,
it seems like it. At least from a distance. I guess you never know. But um, I don't know. I guess it's just a case of fame and money slowly molding a person until there's just nothing left. Or at least that's how it seems. I don't know any other reason why you would fake having fast food for the first time, like 5 different times, and make a video about it to show people.
yeah, and like I can't. I was trying to just like look at the list and see how many times he did it, but I can't find the actual videos. I can just find people talking about it. Um, but yeah, and I think it's just attention. Like he wants to engage and be like, oh hey, come try In and Out for the first time with me.
Well, it's just interesting to me how differently people react to fame and money. Because you see some people react like him and they kind of become McDonald's, right? You see other
Yeah,
people that are quite humble, and they almost kind of shy away from fame and they just kind of focused on their craft, like um, that man
yeah,
Willem Dafoe.
yeah. He
Um,
just likes acting.
yeah,
He doesn't really have an ego. Like I remember there was that viral clip of like the hype beast dudes who like in the 2010s who would like walk up and be like, "Oh, fit check, how much does your outfit cost?" And they were
yeah.
asking him, expecting him to have some very nice things on because he's a high profile actor. And he's like, "Yeah, this hat, I don't know where I got it. Like it's like $10." The jacket was like 100, but that's the thing. Jackets you generally get what you pay for. Um, and jeans. I think I got them at the Gap. Like $15. You know, um, and then he just had like some loafers on. And like a hat, and like he was just like, yeah, like I don't. He had to struggle to remember where he got everything. He had to look at the tag of his shirts
Hmm.
and stuff to see like where it was from and all that. And he'd be like, oh, I don't remember what this cost. And I don't think it was much because he's not interested in that. You know,
He is a one of a kind specimen.
they
That
don't build
one.
them like that. They broke the mold after they built him.
Yeah, yeah, never the same. Never the same. Did you ever end up finding that that movie that was supposedly on the
Oh,
dark net called Sculpt that he
I
was in?
tried. I tried. I have not been able to find Sculpt. I really, if anybody knows how to watch Sculpt, hit me up in the comments section. I'd love to talk to you. I want to
for
watch Sculpt.
for anyone who doesn't know or isn't familiar with the masterpiece that is supposedly called Sculpt, can you give a little background on Sculpt?
Yeah, so basically, Sculpt is this really weird art house movie that got financed by a voodoo woman. Um, and you could only watch it one person at a time. Oh, gee, what art place was that at? What museum was that at?
I think it was some underground museum, 40
Yeah,
miles deep in
it
Berlin
was
or
like
something.
it was like an artsy museum. It kind of reminded me of. Oh, I forget what they call it, but Seattle has like a cultural center that's like that.
Mm.
But yeah, so basically, you'd have to go in there one at a time and watch the whole film by yourself. And I guess basically the setup is that it's supposed to be like the movie's watching you, like they know you're there, like the characters are talking to you, like you're a part of the film almost is what they were going for. And like I just there's only a few snippets that they released online for marketing, and like everything's all red, and there's this dude in a weird mask with like a really weird voice, and he's like, oh yeah, you gotta follow me, Randy.
Randy, I
And then he
forgot
goes out
about
on the stage
Randy.
and starts singing this crazy song while they're like contorting somebody,
Yeah,
and like it just looks insane. I really want to see that
I want to
movie.
see it too. I
It's
really
it
do.
sounds like
I'm
my
just
kind of
curious.
film.
It sounds like our kind of film.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
It does. It does sound like our kind of movie. Same thing with oh dude, we gotta watch The
The
Brave.
Brave. Oh, I
I
was gonna
did
bring
I
that up.
got the movie. I
You
got the
got the
movie.
Brave?
Yes,
Didn't you have to
sir.
buy a Japanese version or something because it was
Yes, it is
country
a
locked or something?
yes.
Geo-locked on the
English
DVD
English
player?
yes, English dub, Japanese subtitles.
Okay.
Um
You got it.
I've not watched it yet cuz I want to watch it together. But I've got my I still got to test it out real quick just to make sure it works, but I have my player. It's boxed up like the little, the one you connect to the laptop, and people say those are generally region free. Um,
And could you give some background on The Brave as well?
the Brave is a really interesting movie. It's got Johnny Depp and it's got Marlon Brando in his last ever film. And it's based on this book, and it's about this Native American dude, trying to feed his family. He's got no job, no prospects. And Marlon Brando plays this really rich dude who grabs Johnny Depp's character and is like, I forget how much money he says he's going to give him, but it's like a life changing amount of money.
I
If
think it was about $5,000.
was it?
No, no, that's a
Was it
really
to
low
say?
amount of money.
I thought it was like a good amount, like enough to where
Yeah,
you'd. And
it was $45.
what is it? They want to him or they want him to himself while they watch? Which one is
Um,
it?
it was the kind of film in which somebody is unalived.
Yes.
Uh,
Okay. Yes. Sorry. Whoops. My bad.
it was
Unalive.
where yeah, people pay for an unaliving film. It was just a
Yeah.
terrifying concept.
Okay. Yeah. So people pay for an unaliving movie.
It was based off of a book,
Yes.
a novella that was really good, and Johnny Depp directed it, I believe, right? Um, and it was pulled from distribution because they thought it would ruin Johnny Depp's career, and that alone, I found to be we both found to be really intriguing. Either it was so bad, or the content was so risque that there was some reason why it was pulled from distribution, and I don't believe it ever had a theatrical release. If it did, it was very limited. Um, but the movie is very hard to track down. Where did you even get it?
I just found it on eBay for like $40.
40. Oh my goodness. Okay. But so the issue with it was that like if you tried to get a copy that wasn't foreign, you wouldn't be able to play it.
Yes. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to play it, and apparently on your PS5 you can actually change the region on it. Um, like, but you can only do that like 5 times. So I was like, okay, I don't really want to mess with that. I don't want to. I don't want a hard locked Japanese PS5. You know.
Yeah, yeah. What if you can't change it back?
Exactly.
Has there been anything else generally that you wanted to talk about that's been on your mind? Anything concerning you? Anything that you've been interested in? Anything that you thought was actually really positive? Um,
Um, let's see. Oh, you know who I think's been doing a lot of positive stuff, particularly in the MMA community. Paddy Pimlet. He's a
yeah.
UFC fighter. He constantly advocates for men's mental health and like awareness of men's struggles. And I actually think it's really good that a UFC fighter, like a ranked UFC fighter, is saying these things, because I think that those are the people who need to hear that. You know, the kind of person who typically watches Ultimate Fighting. I think they need to hear that stuff, and I don't think they're going to listen to it unless if it's from somebody from their world. You know, and I think that Patty is the bridge.
Well, yeah, I did see a clip of him talking about how he had to go out and fight after a friend of his um, unalived himself,
Yes,
and I, I admire his vulnerability. Especially being a fighter or somebody who has to project an image of being so traditionally masculine and tough, right?
and that's the thing. He is
To
seen
do
as a
that.
tough guy. You know, like
Hmm.
he's well respected, but he's also talking about how he wanted to unalive himself after he lost an amateur belt before he made it to the UFC. Um,
Mm.
and he talks about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really important message, especially because still today, so many men do not feel comfortable talking about their mental health. They view it as a form of weakness when it's exactly
Yeah.
the opposite to talk about it.
No, it isn't. It makes you better. It makes you a better human being.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like I think that's very positive. I'm really glad that he's doing that and that he's not afraid to speak his mind, because he's being very vulnerable with like the entire world when he does that. You know,
I can't imagine. I
like it's
really can't
very
imagine how
brave
hard
of
that must
him
be.
to
Yeah.
talk about these things, talk about friends who've unalived themselves, to talk about how he's wanted to do that. You know, and it's
Knowing,
crazy
yeah.
because you look at this. You know, he's only in his 20s. You know, this incredible fighter. You're like, that guy wanted to end it early. You know.
Yeah, it really puts it in perspective that, uh, you know, time and time again, we've seen that, all the money and fame in the world uh, can't fix your mental health. If you have issues that you haven't dealt with before achieving those things and receiving those things, um, it's not going to help. You're not going to get any better by earning more money or gaining more notoriety.
No,
You have to address those things.
no, exactly. I mean, a guy who didn't address those things and went into the fame and the money was Drake, and that guy's a loser. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the guy's doing weird stuff. Like it's like I saw this video where he was like doing street interviews, but dressed like to not look like him. You know, and he asked this guy, "What do you think of Drake?" And the guy was like, "I think he's dumb. Like, I think he's stupid." He's like, "Yeah, I guess." And then he took the wig and stuff off, and he goes, "Yeah, I guess it is stupid that I could be at my mansion with all this money and all these women. It is stupid that I'm out here talking to some loser like you." And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, "Yeah, why are you doing that? It's really weird that you're doing that when you do have these things and you should be satisfied. And I know you're not. You know." Because you're out here asking random people what they think of you in disguise, and then breaking character because they offended you by giving them their opinion of you. You shouldn't ask
wow.
questions you don't want the answers to.
No, no. I mean, was this recent? Do you know?
I saw it, I think a year or two ago.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he just comes off as, at least from a distant um, as a distant observer, he comes off as very, very unhappy and very insecure.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
agree. He does. He certainly does.
and it's the classic trope of, the child star, right?
Yeah. No,
Somebody who
definitely.
somebody who is stuck in a permanent
Yeah.
adolescence.
Because he played like a weird kid on this Canadian sitcom, or it might not have been a sitcom, but on this Canadian show, he like played the weird kid, and I don't think that ever left him. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah, during those
I don't
formative
think it
years.
did, and he got bullied a lot. And as somebody else who got bullied a lot, like that stuff doesn't really leave you. You know, it doesn't. Like it gets better, and you grow out of that person, but like it's still there. It still happened to you. You know.
If somebody experiences mild to severe bullying at an early age, do you think that they can ever fully leave it behind, or do you think that there is some part of them, that kid inside that will always be there?
I think that you can grow past it in a sense, in the fact that like you interact with people and you're still sociable and you haven't let it stop you from talking to people. But for me personally, like that little kid's still there and he's still hurt. You
Mm,
know, he's still I might have gotten over it, but he never did. If that makes any sense.
it does. That's a really articulate way of sharing it, and thank you for sharing. I know that can't be easy to talk about, but I appreciate it. Hmm. Well, on that note,
On that depressing note.
yeah, we tried to end it a little positive here. This wasn't for the first episode of a series here. This wasn't the happiest. Oh,
I mean, in a way, it
it's
is
okay
though,
though.
because I think that, like I said, like I'm not afraid of. I don't get bullied anymore. I'm not afraid of interacting with others. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to tell people how I feel or that I'm going to stick up for myself because I remember those things and I remember what it felt like to be a helpless person and to not defend myself and to not
Mm,
advocate for myself. And so that plays in the back of my head when somebody's trying to push me, and now I push back because I
mm.
learned from those experiences and I became a better, more assertive person because of them.
Right, and it can also give you a deepened sense of empathy too.
Yes, because I know what it's like to be like that. That's why when I see people who are like considered strange or people don't want to interact with them because they have something going on, they're neurodivergent or they're just awkward. I always try to reach out to those people because that was me for a good chunk of my life.
Mm,
Now I'm very sociable,
yeah.
but I wasn't always. So I have a lot of sympathy for people who are in those positions because I know what it's like to be misunderstood in that way.
No,
And
I
like
can I can relate. Yeah.
the kids who did get to know me did like me. It was not being given a chance. And that's my thing. I think you should give people a chance. You don't have to hang out with somebody just because they don't have anyone to hang out with, but you should be nice to them. And you should try to be patient with them, with their as they make, various social faux pas or things like that. Just remember that their brain functions
Sorry,
differently.
faux pas.
Like a mistake,
No, I
like a
know.
mess up.
No, I could. No, I like that. I've never heard that
Been
before.
watching a lot of British TV,
Okay,
the term faux pas comes up a lot.
British TV.
Yeah, I like a
Okay.
little bit of British television. Like the British Office is really solid.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Or like Afterlife by the same guy, Ricky Gervais, is very good.
You ever
Um,
watch Wilfred, the Australian show?
yes, I love Wilfred.
Well, there's an
I
American version too, but
I
now they're
watched
both good.
I watched Wilfred at like age 13.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, that's when I watched it too. Yeah,
like
yeah.
and like at first I was like, oh, it's the funny dog show, and then as I started to develop mental health issues, anxiety and depression, and things like that, I started to relate to the show, you know. Like that show opens up with oh man, why am I blanking on his Elijah Wood? It opens up with Elijah Wood trying to himself. It opens up with him writing a note. you
Unalive
know,
himself.
unalive himself. Sorry, that's gonna take some getting used to. I
That's okay.
apologize. I
That's
hope we don't
okay.
get demonetized.
No, no,
Um,
there's no monetization here. I assure you of that.
okay, well, I hope it doesn't get hidden then. I apologize. I'll get. I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm just gonna have to put a little sticker that's like, "Yo, don't say that."
I know that I know that things can get like partially blocked in certain regions.
Yes,
Um,
or age
so
restricted.
yeah, I mean, I don't worry about the monetization of. I don't care about that. But
Okay.
if it would, I don't know if it'd be blocked anywhere. I'm not sure, truthfully.
Here's what we do. Because you can look at the analytics. Like I think it does tell you
Mm.
where it's blocked and stuff like that. So like if this gets restricted, we know why, and I
Well,
just won't do it again.
I'm really worried about potentially getting blocked from Zanzibar, because that's the one place that I really want to target the people of Zanzibar and get our message through to them.
Interesting. Why Zanzibar?
No, I just made that up.
Okay, I was like, it's a really interesting. You got me there. I was like, okay, Zanzibar.
No, I
Like
just
we
think
need
it's
to
funny.
reach Zanzibar.
Yeah, yeah. Talkument is specifically targeting everyone. It looks like a really beautiful place. I'd love to
Document is
visit.
for the people of Zanzibar.
Mhm.
You're from Zanzibar,
No one
pull up.
else.
We love you. No, I've also heard that it's a very beautiful. I don't know a ton about it, but I've heard it's very beautiful.
Yeah,
I
the
remember there was
beaches
a
look
Halo
nice.
map that was called Zanzibar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was. I think it was in Halo 2, and then I think it was also in Halo 3.
Did you see that one of the last remaining GameStops like refuses to take down the Halo 3 banner from their store? It's like
Hell
posted
yeah.
on the yeah. I think and GameStop tweeted that they'll take it down when a better game comes out.
Which is awesome. Take it
Yeah,
down when a better game. Halo 3, dude. Gaming peaked when I was a kid. Cope with it. Um,
that was great. That's about when I stopped playing video games. Yeah.
um, but yeah, and like I still play video games, but like I'm kind of in a spot right now where I'm not playing that many. I'm just not that motivated to. I'll play games with friends. Like I'll play Deadlock. Um, but as for like single player experiences, it used to be all I did when I was in high school. I would just play video games for I'd crush them. I'd beat a game. I'd go and beat another game. You know.
Well, I know that in the past about 3 or 4 months, you've become quite the yo-yo connoisseur,
Yeah, love the
c-
yo-yo.
collecting and doing tricks. So I understand
I
why you'd want to divert.
I'd show you some yo-yo tricks right now, but my collection's actually it's actually being reserved at the Smithsonian. That's what I've been able to do with my yo-yo abilities.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, no, for real, no. Yeah, they were like, we want to display these in our our pop culture icons section.
Have you
Skeet
ever?
with your yo-yo.
Oh, okay. Is that your slogan or your motto?
Tropic skeet with the yo-yo, yo.
I like it. I remember I had a man. Did you have Ned, the yo-yo man, come into your school as a
I
kid?
think we did.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know if his name was Ned, but we had like a middle-aged like bald dude who's really cool and fun. Show us all these crazy yo-yo tricks. And he was like, "Yeah, we'll let you get the basic yo-yo, and then if you want a cool one that you can do advanced tricks with, here's the way to buy it. You should tell your
Yeah,
parents."
and
And I'm like,
he sold the yo-yos,
"He
right?
did. Yeah, he sold the like at the
Yeah.
school even. Like
I
he
think his
sold
name was
them.
yeah, I bought one. I remember. And
Yeah,
I
I
did
had one as
tricks.
well.
Yeah, you could like walk. Wasn't walking the dog where you
Yeah,
hold it
walking
still
the
like
dog's the one I can still do.
yeah.
Could still do walking
That
the
was
dog.
great. It was a traveling yo-yo, man. That was
Yeah,
pretty
that was.
cool.
I wonder what he wound up doing.
I I don't
Let's.
know.
You know what?
I
For the sake of ending this on a high note, let's not look it up.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You never know with
yeah,
people these days. You
yeah,
really never
I
know.
don't, I don't want to know what Ned is up to these
No,
days.
we're gonna say that he's yo-yoing and he's just chilling and
Well,
everything's fine.
speaking of coincidences, though, I would like to end on this one final thing because I don't want to forget it, and that's the fact that now, I grew up in the northeastern United States, and you grew up in it probably it labeled as the Southwest, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, despite that, in around 2009, we happened to both end up during the same summer and the California Disney at the same exact
Yes,
Creature from the
yes.
Black Lagoon
I'm
musical.
I'm like 90% sure we were because the same breakdowns happened.
Yes,
Like when the guys had to come out and manually push the stage because it had that elaborate rotating stage,
yeah,
and
and
he
they
was like, "Bear with me" or something like
it was
that.
really awkward. Yeah, so I remember I was at uh Disney, or was it? No, it was Universal. It was Universal Studios,
Yeah, it
wasn't
was
it?
Universal.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, Universal Studios. Same thing. I remember I was really excited because we were walking, and it was about at the end of the day, and I saw this poster for the Creature of the Black Lagoon, and I was so into the Universal monsters, and I still am. And it was for a musical, and for some reason, 10-year-old me, I was begging my mom to go to the Universal Creatures from the Black Lagoon musical. And while the rest of my family was normal and wanted to have a good time and went on the Jurassic Park ride, which is what I should have done, I went to see The Creature from the Black Lagoon musical. It was horrific. I mean, it wasn't scary, but it was the most uncanny thing. You had these
Yeah,
weird outfits.
the
The
creature
actors,
looked horrifying. The creature
yeah,
looked really unsettling
it
to me
looked
as a child
weird.
because I was like 8
Yeah.
at
Uh,
the time.
well, yeah, you were a bit younger,
Yeah,
and you were
I saw it with my dad because like
okay.
my dad was like, "Well, I liked Creature of the Black Lagoon. You know, it might be worth a shot." I wanted to see it because like I thought the creature looked cool on the poster, and I was like, "Oh, it's a musical." I was like, awesome. You know, I like musicals.
I'm surprised that that we both really liked musicals as children.
Yeah, no, I did. You know, like well, because you know I grew up watching a lot of Disney movies, and a lot of those are very musical.
Yeah,
You
one
know, and
like
have a lot
Phantom
of
of the
song and dance.
Opera. You
Yeah,
know,
dude.
that's another Universal monster that had a musical. This could be a good one as well. But no, this the ship kept like the ship would move on the stage. It kept staying stuck. They were trying to pull this thing and they couldn't move it, and it was pretty awkward. They were just kind of staring at the audience and smiling.
Yeah, I
And then we were all
God bless
clapping.
them.
Yeah, yeah, no, we were all clapping for them once they finally were able to like give up and kind of walk off stage. That happened like 3 or 4 times, and I wonder if we were at the same show.
We might have been. We definitely were there around the same time because I don't think that ran. That couldn't have ran that long.
No, there's no
It
way.
could not have ran for very long.
Unless every night they had issues like that. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe, but there is a possibility.
I
Despite
mean, if it was that broken down, they probably were having issues every night. Like,
yeah,
because it
yeah,
happened
probably.
multiple times. It wasn't just like it got stuck once. They fiddled with it for 10 minutes and then it was done. No, that happened multiple times, from what I
Mm,
remember.
yeah,
Like I remember looking when the first breakdown happened. I remember looking at my dad. And I'm like, oh, this isn't a part of the show, is it? You know, like as a kid. And he's like,
you
no, I
said
don't.
that.
Yeah, he's like, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
You know, he's like, if it is, I want my money back.
Yeah. I thought it was part of the show too. I had no idea.
Well, yeah,
I don't,
because you're a kid, you know, you don't
yeah.
have context for a lot of this stuff.
I just thought it was funny because I remember, we were working together at the time, and for some reason, I had this urge to tell you about how I saw a Creature from the Black Lagoon musical in the California Universal Studios, and for some reason, you were like, oh, I think I vaguely remember that, and it was the same year, same summer that you were there, and we're like, there's no way that thing
Yeah, because it
played
was
for
like
more
what,
than a couple of
2007, 2008,
this 9,
2009.
yes.
Okay,
Unless they just kept it around for years and had it break
maybe
down.
they did,
Maybe. But
and
it
it
just
just kept.
broke
But that,
down. That
but
was
I
kind of the
don't.
charm. Maybe people
Yeah,
liked that it broke down, so they kept it
yeah.
around. You don't know. That could have been
Yeah,
part of
maybe
it.
it was. Yeah, you know, maybe it was one of those things where it's like, well, we make money off of it, even though it doesn't work. You know.
Yeah, maybe people found it kind of endearing. They're like, "Oh, that good old Creature
In
from the Black Lagoon,
hindsight, like
gonna
I'm like,
break
yeah, you
down."
know, it was chugging along. You know, they
Yeah,
were doing their
yeah. Oh, that
best.
one. Yeah, there we go. Hey, bring the family along. Let's see some people make fools out of themselves.
I remember they
Maybe they
had
liked it.
one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they did. They had a show in a similar vein that actually was good, and it was like they had this big screen and they had Crush the Turtle from Finding Nemo, like interacting with the audience. So they had like an animation, then they had a guy with a microphone somewhere doing an impression.
Okay,
Would be my guess.
you're
And
my
that was
guest,
really
Skeet.
cool. I remember. Yeah,
Skeet,
he's
you're
like,
my guest.
yes, sir. I'm the guest, big guest here. Um, but yeah, I remember that was really cool. Um, I remember he wished me a happy birthday. He's like, "Yo, who's got a birthday?" Because at the beginning they were like, "Yo," he's
You
like,
lied, didn't you?
"It was not my birthday." Um, my birthday's June 12th. I forget which month we were there, but I don't think it was even June.
I think we've learned today that lying can actually benefit you quite a lot in life. I mean, you can get free Chipotle. You can have
As a
an
little kid, I
animated
want to
turtle
talk to
shout out
Crush
your
the
name.
Turtle.
Yeah.
You know, I want to talk to the turtle. I liked him in the movie. He's like, "Give me noggin, bro. Give me noggin." Any like closing remarks or anything like that, or?
Well, tune in next time.
Yes,
If there
sir.
if there is a next time.
Aw,
Uh
come on. There's got to be a next time. This is fun.
no, this is I'm having a
I
good time.
promise I won't get us restricted again. I'll be a good boy.
No, I
I'll
Skeet.
have
I
like
mean, if I've always said to myself, there's one man in this life that I can trust. It's Skeet.
I got you, brother. I'll have like a little sticky note that's like, "Don't say these things." I got you.
Yeah, and I would refrain from a lot of things. But you know what? For a first time, yeah, it's not so bad. Okay,
Yeah.
we've got some water here. We're
Yes,
hydrated.
sir. I got water.
That's all that really matters at the end of the day is your hydration. We're promoting hydration.
Yes, sir. We promote and not like prime real hydration. Drink water.
Yeah, drink water. That'll be our
Drink
motto.
water,
I
dude.
like it.
Like drink water, please. Like listen,
Yes.
I like soda too, all right? Here's a Baja Blast can. But you gotta
No, at least
anything
you're
in
evening it out.
moderation. Anything in my you know, I have maybe, a soda or two a day,
Okay. Well, as
Um
long as you even it out with water.
yeah, it's not the healthiest, but I really like soda. But other than that, I mostly drink water. Or like occasionally I'll splurge and get myself like a little container of like guava juice. I really
Mm,
like guava juice. Guava juice is good. You ever
that
had it?
sounds good. I've I've indulged in some guava juice,
You
a couple times.
said that like it was illegal.
Yeah,
Am I gonna get arrested? Is that not
yeah,
supposed to have
I've
guava
tried
juice?
some guava juice.
Yeah, I've
I don't,
also tried some guava juice.
I, I don't mind, guava juice. It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
It's a great way to stay
I
in
like
shape.
it. Yeah,
You remember that Family Guy bit of a biker? Like, he's like biking in the rain. She's like, "Oh, why are you biking in the rain?" He's like, "Oh, it's brisk, it's fun, it's a great way to stay in shape." And then
I couldn't agree
she's like,
more.
"Okay." She's like, "Yeah, how are you doing?" He goes, "Yeah, it's a great way to stay in shape." And they're like, "Well, what like motivated you to start riding every day?" And he was like, "Oh, well, I got a brain tumor the size of my fist. But it's all right. It's fun, it's healthy, and it's a great way to stay in shape."
You know
It's
what?
like,
It's a great attitude to have.
you got to be
Drinking
positive.
drinking water is a great way to stay in shape.
It is. I mean, it won't
Yeah,
do everything. You still got to exercise a little bit and make sure you're eating all right. But.
yeah. Well, all right. I guess we'll end on that. And yeah.
All right, brother. Well, hey, till next time, huh?
And yeah, until next time.
All right. Well, hey,